Hello citizens! In today's video I would like to talk about how difficult will it be to compete against the quantum economy simulation and how will economy data work in Star Citizen, along with a few ideas on how CIG could present this data to the players. And finally, whether it is possible to break the economy of Star Citizen. As always, if you like this video, sacrifice a like to the YouTube algorithm and subscribe for more. And here's a shout out to our amazing patrons for their support of the channel and the Armory. If you would like to be on this list, follow the link in the description. So let's establish some basics first. We all know that in Star Citizen universe there will be about 9:1 ratio of AI entities called Quanta to players. Quanta are the main agent of the quantum economy simulation in Star Citizen. Each Quanta represents a single invisible NPC acting on its own. Their behavior is mostly based on processing inputs using probability and properties of every Quanta. These properties define the professions the Quanta will do, how good is it at those professions, and how much risk is it willing to take, along with whatever else CIG thinks might be useful. Quanta simulate the economy by creating a supply and demand for goods and services, and thus determining prices and general flow of wealth. If you would like to know more about the economy simulation in Star Citizen, I have a more detailed video on the topic that you can watch before you continue with this video. So how will we interact with Quanta? Well, Quanta generate probability volumes that can generate random encounters. These can be friendly or hostile depending on the probability volume. But the primary data point for players will be the prices that will be calculated from supply and demand created by the Quanta. And of course, players will be able to influence the prices through their activity as well. Now, Quanta will generate a large amount of data and will be the source of real-time changes in the economy. So the question now is, how will players be able to see these changes and react to them? Well, we know that CIG has been denying the possibility of making pricing data available outside of the game for players to use. Which begs the question of how will this data be available in-game? I will focus especially on trade data in my examples, but they mostly apply to other things as well. Obviously, you will be able to check commodity prices at trading locations themselves as you can now. This, of course, is not great for planning your routes because you have to go to the location to see what the prices are. You could rely on historical data that you and other players have collected. However, with the increased Quanta involvement, this information may not be accurate, because Quanta, player activity, and dynamic events could be able to create local extremes in price. Also, don't forget that price can indicate the level of supply available. Of course, there are the commodity price update messages that occasionally go out to the whole server. But this solution does not scale as the size of the verse increases and more trading locations are added. However, it could serve as a small-scale announcement on a local level in the future. So what you could do to get the most accurate real-time information is at the start of your trading session, send out a few of your friends to some of the locations that you're interested in to see what the price and the stock levels are like. This is guaranteed to give you the most accurate trade-related information, and your friends might also be able to find out information about the security situation around the trading location. However, this is nowhere near the level of strategic planning required for trading that players expect. So by now most of you probably know what I'm trying to get to. CIG will eventually give us a way to view trade information from a distant location. Likely through an app in your Mobiglass, but I would also like to see this information displayed at the various commodity exchanges in the verse. Now, we already know that CIG don't want players to have access to real-time price data of the entire verse. So what are the options for determining the accuracy of pricing data? Well, the simplest solution I can think of is to simply offset the price by some percentage up or down, with the percentage increasing with distance. This option, however, in my mind doesn't really reflect inaccuracy too well. Also, I think players would find a way to somehow calculate an estimate of the original value. However, I can think of another option, an option that would actually create room for implementing a profession. One of the main reasons CIG don't want to make real-time data available is to protect data running. So I think a possible solution to propagating trade data would be through data running. Basically, you would have a player or a Quanta land at a trading location, download the trade data onto their ship, and then fly to another location and sell that data. There will always be demand for up-to-date trading information, which will drive the prices up, especially when getting information from important and reasonably distant trading hubs. This will motivate players and Quanta to run this data. So when you open the Trade Information app or terminal, you will see the trade data for various locations and how old this data is. Without player intervention, I think Quanta will end up generating somewhat regular data updates, with data for nearby trading locations being updated more frequently. And I think this solution will allow reasonable levels of planning for trade runs while maintaining the viability of data running. Now, to answer the question in the video title, can you break the Star Citizen economy? The simple answer is no. With the 9-to-1 ratio of Quanta to players, Quanta will always have much more influence over the global economy than players, and they will most likely quickly correct any attempt at breaking the balance just with their default behavior. However, for the sake of the argument, let's say that a large enough group of players will be determined enough to crash the economy and undertake massive efforts to do so. CIG will not allow this to happen. No matter how well simulated the economy is, CIG is still in full control of it, and if they notice that someone is trying to cause too much damage, they will change the parameters to prevent that from happening. But I think it would be pretty interesting to see the lore justification of such action and the repercussions to the perpetrators. However, I think CIG will allow and even create through dynamic events small localized economic decline to create more variety in the economic gameplay. You have to keep in mind that whatever players do, CIG have 9 times the power to counteract the effort. So trying to manipulate the economy even in sparsely populated areas purely through economic actions will be difficult. You could, of course, combine damaging trade deals with blockades and other military tools, and this would probably help you shape the economy on a small scale. However, it would provoke a reaction from Quanta, authorities, and other players. Ultimately, any action resulting in a decline of economy of a certain area would most likely result in reputation loss and the consequences that come with it. This even applies to outlaw systems like Pyro. For example, the local warlords would probably not be too happy about someone selling drugs and weapons at a lower price than they do, and thus pushing them out of the market. And they would surely take violent action to suppress such efforts. In lawful systems like Stanton, trying to choke the supply of critical materials would likely result in corporate governments revoking permits and even taking law enforcement action by seizing the resources by force. You also have to keep in mind that Quanta have access to all the data in real time and can make decisions almost instantly, and they can reconfigure quickly in reaction to changes in the environment and probability volumes, while you will have inaccurate data and will need time and effort to adapt and make decisions. And there you have it. That's it for tonight. What do you think? Will CIG let players influence the economy on a larger scale and even make destructive changes? Is data running going to be relevant? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, fly safe, and I will see you in the verse.